and welcome to the Path Radio Spotlight. I am your host, Guido Prino, and we are welcoming from the put together band Katfish out of Barstow, California, their drummer, JJ Garcia. Welcome to the show, JJ. I do appreciate you connecting with us up here in the Greater Toronto area of Ontario, Canada. How are you?
Well, thank you. Well, thanks for making the time, and I'm doing good, man. I've been Toronto. I've been to Toronto, and I've been to Huntsville a while back, a long time ago. Beautiful area. So,
Huntsville. Well, now we're talking.
uh,
What were you, do you know folks up there? Are you cottaging? Were you?
well, actually, my old band, Judge Jackson, the singer is from. His name's Todd
Oh,
McTavish. He's from Huntsville, and we went to do a couple shows years ago up there in that area, and he's kind of well known in that area and stuff. So we played the Huntsville Theater. Um, And so we did good. We had a great time. We did a radio show, stuff like that. And great time up there. Coming back wasn't so great at the border because apparently I fit a description of somebody that was doing something illegal. So they had sequestered me off for about 4 hours. And but I'm here, so I'm not in jail, so everything worked out.
was that the last time you were in Canada?
Yes, the last time in Canada. So
All
yes,
right.
of
If
course.
there are any border agents listening, leave
Yeah.
JJ alone. He's good. He's a good. He's one of the good ones.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I need all the help I can get. So
That's awesome. Huntsville. Like that's just not far from I'm up here in Richmond Hill, which is north of Toronto. Uh,
okay,
so Huntsville is not a far ride for us. I pass through there sometimes quite often, heading up to Sault Ste. Marie.
awesome.
So right on. Welcome to Canada. Hope you come back. Look, I think you are the first drummer I've had on the show that's here solo without another band member. I don't know why that is, but I know you keep the beat going for the band. Are you the designated PR guy? Or did you draw me as the lucky draw here tonight?
Well, we try to spread the interviews around. Catfish is a hardworking band. We also have regular gigs and stuff like that, of course. So, when Jody reached out and said, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do that, no problem. And we got Tommy in another interview, and we're getting Dusty in another interview. So we're spreading the love, throughout the band, and we're hopefully going to get Lee on an interview soon. Lee's the bass player, Lee Boren.
Right
But
on.
yeah,
Right on. I'm glad to have you, and I'm excited to have the drummer. We sometimes don't get the perspective from behind the drums, so it's kind of a neat thing for me here. I understand, and you were talking about some of the band members. Dusty and Tommy are from Barstow, California.
yes, yeah.
What is in Barstow that you could share with us that you would say is cool or perhaps of interest?
Well, it's interesting. Barstow is usually the place you hit when you're coming from Vegas on the 15th heading to Los Angeles. A whole lot of nothing in between. But those guys I met through touring. I met Tommy first, and we his band opened for my band a few times, and we became friends and stuff like that. And he's like, hey, over the years, he would tell me about this amazing singer he was playing with and stuff. He goes, I played with this guy. We have this little duo called Catfish. And the thing is that they didn't play that much. So they had big draws where they would play in Barstow. A lot of people knew them. They were born and bred there. They played on all the sports teams there in high school, and they were just well known. So that was a great thing. I met some great people out of Barstow. We played a great club called Gusto's a long, long time ago. Shout out to our friend Bill Gust. Um, but yeah, it's when I met those guys, they've already been playing for several years out of that area, but they were playing, around that area, like Hellendale, Nuremberg, and stuff. And I always make the joke that you have to, it's in the middle of the desert. It's way out there. I mean, if you don't know where you're at, you're going to get lost. But you have to cross like a dead hooker and a meth lab to get there. It's way out in the desert. So, um, but anyways, always a fun time. Everyone in Barstow is always great. They're good people, and especially these guys. Amazing.
So far out, we're talking Breaking Bad, but it is. I did look it up because I was intrigued. I'm like, where is Barstow? And it's far away from Los Angeles, right? And then I was wondering,
Yeah.
are you far enough that You know, you don't have significant, you don't worry about breaking off into the ocean if there's a major earthquake. And are you far enough that you're far away from the fires and things like that?
Yeah, I mean they get fires out there, unfortunately, and stuff like that. It's more desert. They call it the high desert. So there's areas out there. But yeah, it gets hot, man. It's hotter than Hades, like 10 months out of the year. I'm telling you. Um, it's pretty crazy.
So we're on a little bit of a geography tour. You lived used to live in Indiana, right?
I'm from Chesterton, Indiana originally. Yeah.
Chesterton, Indiana. It's been a little while. I think the last time I went through Indiana was like 1986. Do you miss Indiana?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still close to a lot of my friends there that I grew up with. Um, still talk to them. We text and talk daily when we can. Over the years, really close with some people there and some of the clubs out there. I still play out there when I can, whether I'm sitting in or taking a band out there that I'm performing in. Leroy's Hot Stuff was always it's from my hometown, right next to it, Porter, Indiana. That was a place I would always play at every time I came into town. But I played the House of Blues in Chicago and
Wow.
a lot of places in Fort Wayne, stuff like that. South Bend, a good friend Bill Finn used to book me quite a bit out there. Shout out to Bill Finn. Um, yeah, I miss it a lot. I try to go back when I can. I just went out there in July before Katfish went to Sturgis to go to like a family reunion. Saw a lot of relatives, stuff like that. I don't miss the weather, but I do miss the people.
I am always intrigued and amazed when I talk to folks in the music industry when it comes to geography. Because you seem to be all over the place, and then you all seem to meet in some place. It becomes a very small community spread over, a very large span of geography, and I always find it intriguing. I also find intriguing. Look, we're gonna get into some music in a few minutes here, but you've also had some a hand in some TV work as well. I understand. My Name is Earl on NBC. You've done a lot of sports stuff, NHL on Versus, playoffs on Fox. What's that
Well,
all?
as the drummer of Judge Jackson, yeah, we got some amazing opportunities. I was in the band for 12 years, and we toured all over the country, did a lot of great things. Before that, I was in a band called Stone, so we worked with John Carpenter and did, some movie soundtracks, stuff like that. You know, and I think all those experiences really led me to this situation, where I'm a little bit older now. Don't tour as much, still work in the industry. And again, it was kind of a happy accident, already knowing Tommy Shoemake for a long time, and then it being introduced to Dusty York, who's the singer, who's kind of he's got an amazing voice. Everyone knows him. He's got a great demeanor about him. It's funny because when you talk to him, he's no BS. Like he's the real deal. So, and he sings from the heart. And I think when that happened, they're like, "Hey, do you want to jam?" And it was right. I think our first show was right before COVID really hit. So I kind of filled in, and then COVID hit, and it's like, well, I'm going nuts, not playing. And they're like, "Do you want to do a show?" And we would do shows like literally again in Pahrump, Nevada, Topak, Arizona, um, Lake Havasu, Arizona, to Lake California. We were doing everywhere but Vegas and Los
Right.
Angeles and stuff. Anywhere that had electricity that would have us, that maybe they were a little bit, they were not as hard on the COVID rules. They would make sure that you weren't had a fever or anything, but they were pretty lenient, if you would say. But it gave us an opportunity to play and get to know these guys because it's a different style of music. It's I played blues and rock and stuff like that, but these guys more southern rock, more outlaw country. Hank Williams, Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings. So as a drummer, I was really digging into playing, to a little bit back, so the singer could tell the story, and Dusty would sing those lyrics as like they were his own. And I'm not doing all this stuff back here. I'm just I'm the guy that's just keeping the beat, making it happen, and letting him dictate the pace and stuff. So, um, but yeah, I mean, now it's been I think 4 years I've been in Catfish, and since then we probably did about. We don't do a ton of shows. We probably did maybe 50 so far since I joined.
So, and you mentioned a couple of band member names as we've been talking. Um, who is Catfish musically? Like, what sound do you say the band is?
If I had to say the spirit of the band is really, Tommy and Dusty and their influences. Their influences, like I said, Leonard Skinner, Waylon Jennings, all those great, 70s and 80s icons from country to country rock to southern rock. That was a big part of their growing up and my growing up too. When I grew up in Indiana, I was really into like Kiss and AC/DC and Van Halen and Led Zeppelin. And then later, I didn't really appreciate country and country rock and outlaw country until like a little bit later in life. Becoming a drummer and oh, this is a 3/4 time and it's got to have a swing to it. You got to play it a little bit differently. You don't just pull through it. So it was pretty. I love the challenge of that. But if I was to say what Catfish is about, I guess would be, we are an outlaw country southern.
Outlaw country.
Yeah, it's some of that older stuff you don't hear all the time. We end usually the sets with Hank Williams Jr. There's a lot of our shows, a lot of swearing and beer drinking. We don't make any bones about it. So.
Or beer drinking and swearing.
Yeah, either order works for what So
So let me understand this. So we've got Dusty and Tommy. They originally start Catfish. They're an acoustic duo. They expand the band out to a four-piece, and that includes yourself on drums and Lee Boren on bass.
yeah,
And you knew of them prior to this pandemic hitting, but the pandemic comes along, and you sort of reconnect, and you start playing with these guys as Catfish, as the four-piece.
yeah. I mean, Lee came into the fold last. Tommy went from bass to guitar when we had another member that left, and then we asked Lee like, "Hey, man, you know." And it was pretty simple. Lee already knew this. We already knew Lee. Lee's a sound guy, has a sound
Mm.
company. He's done sound work for some of my clients as well as myself. So we all go way back. We all have like a history together and stuff like that. So it was a no-brainer to get friends in the band that knew each other and respected each other for our musical abilities as well as just being friends, and we give each other a hard time. I think the hardest thing is when you're in a band, it's like a marriage, and I always make the joke. I mean, you know, we don't dislike certain things too much, but the hardest thing I think is not political standpoint or anything like that. It's the fact that Tommy, myself, and Dusty, our favorite football teams are in the same division. So usually every Sunday we give each other so much crap. When Lee joined the band, I think the Chiefs are his favorite team. So we're like, what? Okay, it's not in our division. You're hired. You're in the band. You're good. You're good. So because we
So
don't need more conflict. Um,
do
so
y'all wear like your own team jerseys and things like that on game day or?
No, well, I mean, probably at home, but we'll text each other, especially if the Packers lose. That's Tommy's team. And he'll give me a hard time, or he'll text me a picture of like Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, and I just like, oh. Then I have to send him a picture of George Hallis, and so But Dusty's team is doing great. The Packers are, regardless how I feel about them, are doing okay, and the Bears are doing better than they have. So we're excited about that. So we'll see at the end of the season if not only if one of them make the playoffs, but also if we're still friends or not. So,
Don't hate me if I say go Chiefs. I'm sorry. Go
that's all
Chiefs.
right. That's all right. I got a lot of buddies that are Chiefs fans, and I'm okay with that. I got over the fact that we could have drafted Patrick Mahomes, so I'm okay. I'm all
I
right. I did lots of therapy.
look
So
for the record. I'm also a PTSD Detroit Lions fan. Okay, just so
Mm,
you know,
it's
I'm a,
okay, man.
I'm afraid to be a Lions fan because I just don't believe it'll ever happen. So,
Right.
uh, we digress on football. Speaking of teams and team names and all that, Catfish with a K. I feel like there's a connection somewhere and I'm not getting it. Is there a connection somewhere and I'm not getting it?
Well, Dusty tells the story the best, and it was pretty much, um, and when the band came together, it was one of those things, and I could be wrong. I'm hoping those guys will correct me someday. But basically, when Tommy and Dusty got together, they were playing guitars, they would hang out, they would jam and stuff like that. And they knew a lot of songs. And so they went to a bar and landed up drinking pretty much every day. And they said, we could do what those guys are doing. We could play here. So someone booked them. So the next day or days later, after they got over their hangover, they called like, okay, we'll see you in a couple weeks, Saturday. And they're like, what? Oh, I guess we're playing a show. I guess we need a name. And I think, to the best of my knowledge, it was a friend of theirs that, hey, we need a kind of cool Southern name for our band. How about Catfish and spell it with the K, so it's a little different. Okay, great. And then on to the next thing. And they put their first show together. I think they borrowed Tommy's mom's TV trays to put speakers on, and they played their first show to a packed bar and had a blast and kind of just set the precedence for where we're at right now.
And just like that, Catfish was born. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so how much has the addition of your drums influenced, they were very much acoustic. How much, has your drumming now influenced the formula, the types of music that you play? Like you say, hey, we're outlaw country. Has there been a transition? What are you bringing with the drums?
Well, I think if it's taught me anything, it's really listening to the songs. And I'm coming into their fold. This is what they have. This is what we play. This is how we
Mhm.
like to play. So, I play with brushes on some songs. I play with sticks on maybe a few others. I play with these Vic Firth. I have a deal with a company called Vic Firth drumsticks that they make a root is a wound dowel rods, if you will, type of stick. And so the volume isn't that loud. So it taught me a lot of dynamics coming in. And I'm like, hey, look, this is what I could bring. I'm not going to overpower you. I'm not going to play over you. I've done that for years. But I've learned to sit in the pocket. Playing blues gigs with people. I played gigs back in the past, like I said, my old band Stone, and then I sat in with Walter Trout on a few gigs, who's a blues legend, and some other guys that I learned a lot. So coming into this, knowing that Dusty has to tell the story of whatever song he's singing, it's not about it's not about it's about coming in and embracing these songs and taking up the challenge of just really trying to finesse and play at a good volume and stuff like that. And I think that's pretty much. I mean, I really dig what we're doing. As a drummer, I'm really
Yeah.
appreciating it more.
It's a softer drumming approach, a little bit more controlled, a little softer. Does it ever, do you ever want it, or do you ever feel like it's gonna get away from you, or you want to go a little faster, or you want to go a little louder, or do your
Um,
old Kiss, AC/DC, influence days kick in at any point, or
well, yeah, a little. There we do a cover of the um, Phil Collins song "In the Air Tonight."
yeah,
So the big Phil, is like, okay, this is my moment. Um, I play along to it, like, but when I first played it with them, it's like, look, there's like 3.5 minutes I don't do anything. Like, so I had to make sure I'm not like looking at my phone and see if my work or my wife texted me, hey, after the gig, bring this up. I have to not like sit there and make faces or anything because it's like, I'm waiting for my part. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, I lean into that. When that part comes up and I have a good time with it. So, it's always a good time.
now you mentioned some drumsticks and things like that. and your kit. How much has your kit changed over the years? Obviously, it sounds like a
Well,
bit of a change.
well, right now currently I play just more simplified kit. It's a a smaller kick drum, like it's a three-piece kit with the snare. So it's not I'm not using a giant kit. I mean, the older I got, I try to use less so I don't have to carry it. You know, so trying to avoid any hernias. Um, but small kit, laid back. 10-inch mounted tom, 20-inch kick drum, 14-inch floor, two cymbals, um, and a hi hat. Sometimes I'll throw a wood block in there. Depending if we're doing different stuff or whatever. But I try to keep it really simple. So that everything in that level has scaled down a bit.
Less can be more. Lesson learned for also some up and coming drummers, right? Um,
Yeah.
do you and you talked about like, there's some songs sometimes you have a little bit of a gap. Do you ever come out from behind the kit and pick up a guitar and join in that way?
No, I think it will be frowned upon. I think it's I it there's two things I don't yeah I don't play guitar in public, and I'm cool with just sitting back there and doing my thing. So,
That's cool. I was just curious. Sometimes,
yeah.
they get the drummer to do some different things. Um, so Katfish released a new single, and you tackle a hot cover song of Gnarls Barkley. It's called Crazy. Um, what makes you go with that song as the single? Do you worry that fans are expecting, the original arrangement at all, or?
No, we just Dusty said, I mean, he had a list of songs we did, and I'm like, man, you sing that great, and he nailed it in the studio. And I just thought it was a different take on a popular song that's probably being sung, like, the original when you
Yeah,
hear it. With us, it was like, we just started playing it. Oh, that's our husky. Hi, buddy.
there we go. We have enough
And so
here.
he's barking over here. Sorry.
Oh, no,
Dakota,
no,
it's okay.
no,
Um,
that's okay.
that's all right. No, he's
Pet,
just
pets
wondering
are
what is
pets
going
are allowed. Pets are
on.
allowed. So
Okay. Um, anyways, yeah, regarding that, we just like it just sounded good. We didn't think about it. We didn't overthink it. We didn't sit there and go, "Oh man, I wonder what people are going to think." I'm like,
eh,
Dusty sounds great on it. Everything gelled. The people like it when we play it live. So we enlisted the help of one of my good friends, Stevie D. I'm like, hey, we just it needs a little bit more juice. We need it. He co-produced it. He played the Hammond B3. He played the acoustic solo on it. He plays acoustic rhythm on it, and it brought it to another level. And we're like, all right, this sounds great. Not a lot of overthinking. I think the performances on it speak for themselves, and I think Dusty did a fantastic job singing it.
yeah, it's a great little tune. It is a different arrangement, so as you're listening to it, it felt a little little bit slowing down pace to it. You talked about the vocals. There's just a different depth to the vocals themselves. Was that the original vision for the song? Was to slow it down a little bit and do that arrangement, or did it just kind of make a start that way and evolved, or?
It kind of started that way. Like when we would do these shows, I would have a set list, and every show, I'd sit with Dusty. How's the tempo? Oh, that's cool. Or bring it back a little bit. Or, because here's the thing about Catfish, sidebar, we live pretty far from each other. Dusty lives in Topak, Arizona. Tommy still lives in the Barstow area. He lives in an area called Hellendale. Lee lives out past Victorville, if you will. And I live in an area called near Pine Mountain Club, California, just north of um, Santa Clarita, about 45 minutes north of Santa Clarita, about 70 minutes north of Los Angeles. So I'm like in the mountains. I'm about 5,000 feet up. So, basically Fraser Park area. Anyways, so we live far apart. So we meet at the gigs. We talk about the songs. We rehearse them at home, and then we show up, and here's the set list, and or Dusty will text it to us, and it's one of it's 60 or 50 or 40 or 30 songs or whatever we're doing. Like, oh, okay, we're doing that tonight, and he'll give his 2 cents. Hey, yeah, when we play this, pull it back a little bit, or okay, or do this or that. So, not again, not a lot of thinking. I think we
Yeah.
really just go for it, and we'll see what happens. If people hate it, they'll tell us, and if people like it, they'll tell us. So
Just went organic with it. You mentioned Stevie D, and you said, yeah, you know what, he brought a different element to it, etc. He played and he did some production work. Stevie D, we're talking Buckcherry, Stevie D. Um, are you going to do more work with Stevie on other songs or?
we're hoping. He's got a big schedule. He's co-writing with a lot of people. He's co-writing. Well, he co-wrote with a country artist named Gen Z recently. He's wrote with other people. He's writing a new Buckcherry record with Josh. He's got his hands full. He's
Yeah.
worked with a lot of people, and he's been really developing his songwriting chops and working with a ton of people. You're going to hear a lot of songs that he's working on with other artists here probably in the next year. Um, so we're hoping to squeeze some time out with him. We have other ideas for songs. He wrote a song actually that Dusty needs to sing on that he wrote that will be an original song that we're hoping to put out next year as well, and some other covers too. That
Um, Knowing that the things went well with Stevie, are you going to reach out to other artists as well and bring in other guest appearances?
we're hoping. I mean, we put feelers out to a lot of people. Um, you know, they'll hopefully join us on a couple of the covers that we're doing to kind of bring something to them. Um, so we'll know in the future. I don't want to jinx anything. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing big, but we're like, it's one of those things that will like, hey, that'd be great to get this guy on it. Well, I know his manager, I know his buddy. Let's see if he's around. And again, we don't overthink the things. We don't try to stress about the things and stuff like that. We just try to make the most of it. But the thing about being in this band is really, I mean, there's a business side to it, but we really try to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of the people that come to the shows that are familiar with the band, that have been following the band for so many years, are great people. They really embrace it. We always have a great time with them. It's always a fun night.
So I was gonna ask, and I'm getting the sense that it is a fun band, and that's what you're after, and it's coming out in the music, and that will, attract folks like Stevie and others as well as the fans. Next steps. You mentioned we're gonna do a couple more covers. You talked a little bit about an original. Are we going to see more original? Or are we going to see an EP, an album, more singles? What's the path that we can look for as we start to hook into Katfish?
Hoping an EP sometime next year with originals and covers on it. So we're hoping to get that happening. We have a lot of ideas. We're actually meeting. We have a show in November in Lake Havasu. I can't remember the date right now, but it's in November. But if you go to our Facebook page, it's all up there. Um, and we're going to go and rehearse and have a meeting and talk about what we want to do for next year. We're already getting offers for certain things. We're doing some shows with our friends in Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers and Skinner Rising and what they're calling the Southern Rock Thunder Tour. So we're going to Catfish will be supporting some shows on that, which it's Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers is one of the ultimate ZZ Top tributes. Skinner Rising is one of the SoCal's favorite, Leonard Skinner tributes that are out there right now. So they already are doing some shows up and down the coast. Um, they had a tour booked. Unfortunately, a friend of ours, Freddie Salem, who was from the Outlaws, he was also an agent, recently passed away. He's a
Pretty good.
great dude. He was working on building that tour. So now we're trying to keep it rolling and do these shows to honor him. Um, and then with a lot of other stuff, we have a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of things we're talking about. Just either Catfish solo shows a part of this tour, or opening for other acts as well.
Yeah, sorry to hear about that. Sorry to hear about that loss and with the touring. And I was going to ask, or I observed that you're in, got some shows in California. You've got Nevada. You've been doing Arizona as you work towards the new EP in 2025. And you do a little bit of that honoring and the live shows, etc. Are you going to go beyond those spaces, or that's something that you still have to figure out? Um,
Well, we're planning Sturgis next year. We're working on that. We're planning, well, we're hoping to get back to the Midwest, my old stomping grounds. It'd be great to get back
Right on.
to the Illinois, Indiana area. Um, so those we're trying to figure that out. Logistics, financials, trying to get on the road, do gigs, stuff like that, um, and trying to get in a situation where we could fly in, do a few shows, fly out, keep it simple.
Or take a road trip to Huntsville, of course, you know.
Oh, we'll go to Huntsville. Yes, I haven't
Yeah.
been there for a while. I hopefully there's new border patrol people there that don't recognize me. It's been about 15 years. So
You let me know
hopefully,
if you're heading this way. You just let me.
okay,
I know people up in Huntsville, so we can
okay. Well,
we
I'm
can
probably going to need that.
we can help
That
each
means
other out.
well,
Look, I was going to ask you where folks go to learn a little bit more. You mentioned Facebook. I know it's facebook.com/ at, or no, / catfish with a K. Is
yes,
that the go-to place of where you're posting stuff, updates, pictures, info?
yeah. So Catfish at Facebook. We have a Instagram that we just started. So spread the word, get people to follow it. It's I think cat for Instagram, it's Catfish underscore acoustic. It's easy to find us. We're always posting stuff on there. A lot of people, if you have live footage of us when you see us, please feel free to share it with us. Um, and we're, like I said, we're just starting to book some spring dates now. We got a couple things that are confirmed and a couple things that we'll be able to announce here soon. And that's anything and everything Catfish. You can go to social media, find out what's going on.
Awesome. We'll make sure we have the Facebook and the Instagram in the notes, and we'll put links in our
Right.
video here that
I
people are going
appreciate
to
it.
see.
Thank you, man.
As we're talking, they're going to see it on the screen once we go live with this. JJ, it's been a pleasure having you here. I appreciate it. I've enjoyed hearing more about the boys and Catfish. We've covered geography, we've covered some of the stuff that's coming down the pipeline. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave us with?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, just thank you for your time. First of all, I appreciate everything. I hope a lot of people start checking out the band. Like I said, it's a really fun band, and we have a great time with it. Again, everyone go to the socials, check it out. We will have new music in the new year. We're hoping to plan to release a EP around then. Um, and other than that, it's just keep supporting live music. Can't push that enough.
That is drums and percussion, JJ Garcia, for that crazy band known as Catfish. Watch for more from the band as the duo turned four-piece continues to emerge in live shows, streaming, a new EP, and radio. Of course, you can hear their latest song on thepathradio.com. JJ, we're wishing you the very best with the single and the upcoming shows and the EP. And I do hope that we get to connect with you again. Take care.
All right. Thank you so much, man. You take care. We'll see you.